Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we do get started, let me give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of events have happened. Now, we had Deku, Zenith, Rose, and Alex. These four, they've been conducting surveillance in Austin for over 3 months. And Alex, he decided after over 2 months of surveillance, he was sick and tired of a lot of things that were happening. He was stressed, overworked, and not sleeping well. He was also terrified at the idea of a reality bender literally being able to think him out of existence, especially after learning that Deku has one stalking him. So yeah, that certainly was something. Now, after Alex was exposed to 420J, he had some time off. He had a few days, in fact, and the team, they were able to let him get some proper sleep and get back to functioning properly. The algorithm, it was then able to start giving them advice. They found their targets. They went to a pool hole that they should be visiting soon. And when the group arrived, Deku used telekinesis to break someone's pool stick. However, he oh so casually stepped in to fix the problem. Now, after that happened, him and this group of anomalies began to banter, go a bit more back and forth. He wanted to learn more about what they were, what's going on. These are people who have lived a life outside of the Foundation, something he hasn't even considered, but he has had to do. But this is in a world that's put together, that is together, that still exists. Not one where people were frantically running to survive, not dying, and where deific entities weren't leaving those realities altogether. This is something new. And Deku, he talked about sticking around for a bit and playing pool with them. And somebody, they did not like this idea. But then something else surprising happened. Sammy, the reality bender Deku has met on 2 other occasions, arrived. And she was talking to somebody about how exactly they needed to leave. And this person, they did not like her suggestions. They wanted to hang out with their friends. And Tony, yeah, he was someone Sammy did not want to leave her alone because the Foundation are still tracking them down. And she does have a bad feeling about a lot of things. But when Deku revealed that he knew who she was, even about the numbers on her neck, she was a little defensive. Though after a bit more talking, she did believe Deku. And she did talk about something else that she does know. She knows there's a version of herself, potentially from the future, but who is no longer herself because the two now coexist. And the science and specifics about all that, it's a bit odd. Let's put it quite plainly. If your future self came back in time to meet you, that would cause a paradox. Because of one simple fact. You're meeting your future self, but they don't remember being in your exact shoes, where a version of their future self came back to meet them. They're changing the timeline and becoming a different person, who is still you, but just from a different reality, an alternative future. So yeah, that is what she does believe is going on. Though she gave Deku a cell phone talking about how they could talk a bit more later, since she does find him a little interesting, because her powers to manipulate reality don't seem to work on him. Now then, with that being said, let us pick up there. Deku, he does currently sit in a room at the Foundation. Right now he doesn't know where he is, but he does know after the report was sent off about what they did the other day, he has been brought in. And currently there is somebody they do just sit down in front of him. Them going to start talking about a few things. Their arms leaning onto the table and asking Izuku exactly what he does think about the situation. Huh. I don't really know what you mean. You let the targets go. You had a chance to capture them. The O5 Council would really like an explanation. And from what we can tell, you've interacted with one before. You did not bring it up at the last council meeting. And the O5 would like to understand. I understand, Dr. Cleft. However, the last meeting I had with the council wasn't exactly about professionality and about what you would call business. I didn't really have a chance to speak. They let me go before I had any more words to say. I see. Well then, that is quite interesting. So, Izuku, I do have another question for you while we are here. Yes, Dr. Cleft? It has come to my attention about your fraternization with certain anomalies. Exactly what is that about? I've heard Dr. Bright going off on a few little tangents, and about how he's quite happy to see you quite soon. He wants to talk to you about what you've been doing. Really? Yes, he does. And we've all unfortunately been victim to hearing him joke about a lot of things. Now, what exactly do you think I mean whenever I say I'm concerned about you fraternizing with anomalies? You're worried about me and your daughter. Dr. Cleve's face going a lot more serious. And Deku, he didn't know he could do that. He already seemed like he was fully there. His eyes narrowed, and his expression showing a calm, silent rage. Though Dr. Cleft does get asked the question. So, of the interactions he has had with his daughter, has anything happened? No. Good. Listen. You're a good Foundation agent. However, I don't believe that you would be right for her. Are we clear on that? Okay. I have not had much interactions with her. I do not know if I would like her. Right. Is that all that really matters to you? Dr. Cleft, she did not survive an SCP-5000. I do not know what happened to her. She was gone. Of the anomalies I have interacted with and have began fraternizing with, as you do say, she has not been one of them. If we do talk, I would like to know more about her. Know more about what has been going on with her. Seriously? Yes. It's not hard to understand. Dr. Cleft, I care for people. But if you do not wish for me to care for her, I sort of understand. That is not my point. We got off topic. Anyways, back to the current task at hand. You have information about the anomalies? I do, yes. However, I do not believe that Sammy is the only anomaly involved in this. There has been, apparently, two different iterations of the anomaly. One potentially from a future, and one that does currently exist. Isn't that something? So we're dealing with a fucking time traveler. Potentially? I don't know. Though, I don't think this is Back to the Future time travel. Of course you'd say it like that. Whoever told Dr. Bright to look after you made a really bad mistake. Listen, I wouldn't explain it like that. Just say non-linear time travel. Non-cohesive? No, that doesn't make sense either. Non-linear does roll the tongue better. Non-cohesive? Isn't that a form of time travel that would break the timeline? I'm not here to argue with you about that, Izuku. I'm here to tell you about what is happening. The O5s want you to learn a bit more. Continue to pursue your current endeavor. This group of anomalies, the Foundation have interest in. Currently, Dr. Cleft, going to set something on the counter and slide it over to him, telling him, this is way above the pay grade of his Foundation team. Right now, this is deemed as level 4 clearance. So that does mean this needs to stay between them. Brief his team on a need-to-know basis. What he thinks they need to know, he will tell them. And that is how this operation will work. And Deku, he does go to bring his hand up as the file does a slide under his hand. Him opening up the file and going to start looking through it. Since the current anomalies have been police report, sightings, door, something about, is this all accurate? No, but that's what makes this interesting. As far as we know, the reality bender could be one way of getting to another location. Though, she could also be helping to cover tracks. That's what we want you to find out. If this reality bender is as powerful as we think, then we might need to possibly terminate. Terminate? No termination. We can't kill Sammy. Izuku, as much as I want to agree with you, I've had to kill reality benders and other anomalies that have existed. If you can find a way to bring her in, we could do that. Though, if you're talking about using a reality anchor on her, I don't know if that's the best idea. I mean, I could try and get something commissioned, but it would take a long time. We've been experimenting with a few different things lately. Ways to take out reality benders. It would be a while, but I can get the eggheads to cook something up. Talk to them. If I talk to the O5s and get an official test scheduled with an actual Foundation reality bender, we can look into a lot. Though that could be dangerous. What do you mean? Izuku, MTFs fight reality benders of all varying degrees of power. We don't know how strong yours is. And I've definitely had to kill a few myself. They are flawed beings. They're not gods. Though, with a reality anchor, they might as well be a god. Turned human. They become nothing more than a person. That idea, something more portable, something more self-sustaining, something more powerful. It's what the Foundation have been experimenting on. Now, let's go ahead and leave it at that. Dr. Cleft's going to turn, going to stand up and going to walk over, pounding on the glass and yelling for somebody to send the damn kid back, since the meeting's over. I'm going to turn. Before we're going to tell Deku, he should be lucky. Right now, they're considered pulling him out of the operation, though that might not be this being where Deku does reappear in his apartment. Currently, him laying on his bed as he does go to sit there. Going to sit up and turn. The file being on his bed and neatly organized, closed with the paper clips and everything. As he does this, lean up and gonna get out of bed, walking into the living room and gonna see Alex, who does go to currently sit at the table lying there asleep. As Deku, he has a turn looking at Rose, who does lie on the couch, currently covered in a blanket. Deku smiling as he does gonna walk over to the coffee maker, turning it on and beginning to brew a fresh pot. They were watching a movie last night, and she got to pick. They watched something newer, something interesting. He doesn't remember the plot to it, but at least he wasn't the first one to fall asleep. It was a bit strange, though. That much he can remember about it. I mean, he was a little intrigued by it, though. Maybe we'll have to ask the Foundation when he does get back. Get back. This on his mind. And Izuku, he does get to go out. He heads back into his room, gets dressed, and steps out. No one knows he's outside. And he does get to leave the apartment. Walking down the stairs and going to go down the road. Go down to the street. And it feels interesting. Alex isn't there, Xena's not there, but Rose is back at the apartment. He's here alone. And over Deku, it does get a turn walking past the park. He does stop for a minute, seeing some people running by, seeing a person walking their dog, and even a stroller pushing children. This crossing his mind, turning his head as he doesn't see the happiness currently on someone's face, along with how they do currently going to stop and turn, pick up a toy their child dropped, bending down and handing it back to them, and their eyes, their facial expression, everything about it. It might seem worn, it might seem tired itself, but those eyes are full of love, full of care. And they do go to push the stroller over to the waterfall, over to the water fountain that does currently have jets shooting out in different arcs. This being the baby, it does just want to start laughing. And Izuku, he does want to sit there, staring at that, turning and going to look around. Where should he go? Head out to a coffee shop? He does have the Foundation wallet. He's got some cash. Maybe head to a bakery? Oh, there's that really good one that does make those apple fritters and those really good donuts. Oh man, those things are super good. Though, what else could he get? Okay, a dozen boxes of donuts and some coffee. Though there's coffee back at the apartment. Go to a coffee shop? Go to some place. Yeah, that does sound nice. This on Deku's mind. Him going to head to a coffee shop nearby, walking a few blocks away as he does go to turn, walking to the shop and going to order. And after he does go to get his drink, he just don't stand there for a minute, turning and looking at the people who are here. And this, it does mean quite a lot. Him gonna step outside and bring the scalding coffee up to his lips, going to drink it back as he does a turn, looking around. Before he just won't sit there and try to think. Before his phone does start buzzing, he has to bring his hand up to his jacket, going to answer it as he does a turn. Hearing a heartbeat and going to see Sammy, as Deku does look back down at his phone confused, and she does talk about it, going to end the call button and then slide it into her own pocket. So, what exactly can she do? What do you mean? You've met me, right? So I want to know, what exactly can I do? And what exactly can you do? Why are you immune to my powers? Well, I could lie to you. Her narrowing her eyes before Deku does talk about it, but he won't. He's an anomaly. No shit. Yeah, but that's not even the half of it. Can people hear them talking? No, they cannot. She's filtering a few things out. Come on. Her gonna walk right past him. Deku gonna turn Ash's Express. They're gonna go talk. She needs to talk to him about a few things. She wants to know exactly what he does know, since she can't get in that weird ass head of his. And the two, they do to walk a few blocks back to the park. Currently them gonna sit on a park bench and begin to talk. Ash is to talk about it. Okay, so you can't die, you're adaptable, and you get power? Yeah, sounds about right. Death doesn't exactly stick, I guess, is the right way to put that. Huh. You're 007. What? You're Project 007. Yeah, I'm guessing that means a clone of a known SCP. SCP? You know the numbers of the jailers? Yeah, I do. I've been around. Not just this reality, but one that no longer exists. Made sure to reset that one. Really now? Yup. Huh. That's concerning though. So, you're 007. Have you met any other of our kin? Our kin? Yeah, made by our creator? Not really, no. My mother, though, she was pretty heartless. She sold me right off. I don't even know anyone else. I never met the other projects. Your mother? Yeah. The Foundation knows Inko Midoriya is my mother, and they're still searching for her. When we do find her, I don't know what they're gonna do, but I would like to meet her. Shit. That wasn't in your file. My file? Your mother kept me around as a personal assistant. She liked the idea of being able to create a reality bender. She tried to figure a few things out. It wasn't exactly easy, but she made a copy of 682. So, she thought that she can crack one of the biggest mysteries there was. Why a normal human can go from sunshine and rainbows to suddenly being able to set Jersey on fire. Really? Basically. I mean, hell, or turn New York into fucking cotton candy. Listen, Inko Midoriya, Miss Midoriya. No, that still doesn't feel right. Dr. Midoriya. She had a lot on her plate. I knew her. She was cold, calculating. well thought out. That's all I can really tell you about your mother. Really. Yeah, she was the greatest mind I've ever known. Though, that was a few years back. I am happy to tell you, though, now that I know a lot more. I've been able to go around. Hell, I'm older than I look. Her turning, asking him how old he thinks she is. Okay, I might be. I might have been around for a while, but even I know that that's a trap. I'm being serious. How old do I look? Well, you're gonna try and blow my head off if I give you an honest answer? Depends on whether or not it's a bad one. Well, I'd say 20s. You're in that ball range. Yeah, I've been around. I've witnessed a lot of things. This version of me you're talking about that you've supposedly met, it might be me at some point in the future. Hell, who knows? I'm intrigued about this though. Why would she talk to you, let alone be aware of you? I get the idea now that we're connected back to Prometheus Labs, but they've been shut down for years. Have they? Yeah. Miss Midoriya asked me to scatter the projects. Afterwards, she wanted me to just rip the information from my head. So I did. I listened. I know what I did. But I was careful. She's meticulous, I'll give you that. Her failsafe for me worked. Failsafe? Yeah. Supposedly she has a failsafe for a lot of her projects. Though, you, I think she's the most scared about. You're already supposed to be unkillable. So making a failsafe for you isn't supposed to kill you. Lovely. It would be nice if she could. Really? Sammy, there's been a lot of points in my life I've wished to not live. I've gotten better. I've healed from them. It doesn't mean I like remembering them. Your life couldn't have been that bad. Deku's staring at her, as he does get to tell her. About 40, probably even about 35% of his life was probably spent in an arena. About 6 years of his life then was spent in a apocalypse, where everything she can think of, the most horrific things she's probably ever even imagined, were real and unleashed upon the world. Could she imagine being able to sit there as a sentient ball of goo, feeling nothing but pain, waiting to regenerate? It takes a long time. It takes hours. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Worst part is, every nerve was left intact, exposed to the oxygen. It wasn't fun. A lot of the things that happened weren't good. The SCP Foundation, they turned against humanity, started hunting everything that had the ability to feel pain. Jesus. Yup. All that they did was murder. Eventually, uh, eventually I was one of the last people alive. Someone came to me, asked me to help them. I did. When they told me I can stop it all, I did. That's what happened. Yikes. And that was 6 years? Yeah. Technically, we'd be approaching year 2 in December. But it was 6 years to me. But how did you reset everything? I mean, I knew I felt some sort of shift back in December, but what did you do? Well, we're being honest. So let me ask you a question since I've been talking for a bit. Sure. You can't look into my head, but does the same go for my companions? No, it doesn't. They're Foundation agents. One of them was an SCP, which you're in a relationship with. I am. And you've been a little, from what I understand, around. It's not as bad as you make it sound. Right, right. You just had some interactions with another anomaly. You know, that girl of yours, she would be jealous. Really? No. I want to see how you react, though. To be honest, this is the first conversation I've probably had without someone being able to be predictable. I could take all the guesswork and questions out of everything, but I try to be me around people. I mean, I still get what I know I'm gonna expect, but knowing it's coming isn't any better. You're like a gambler. Yep. Thing is, I'm always hitting blackjack. I think I get what you mean. Yeah. Gambling, you always want that rush of winning. You never know when it comes, and the anticipation is part of it. Though, I never get that. Until now. So, I guess my question is then, why are you still here? You mean in this park? Deku brings his coffee up to his lips, taking another sip as he's to pull it back. Now Jesus don't stare at him, a bit annoyed, but a little happy about his response. Ash to tell him, no. Why is he still with the Foundation? After everything he's described. Everyone I know and care for is with the Foundation. That is why. We're on a mission. Find out what's going on, and then bring those people in. Hopefully alive. Are you the reason why they've been able to jump to different states without being tracked? Wish I could take the credit for that. No. Though, if we're going to go to the place they head to, then I suggest we go for another walk first. Her gonna turn, asking Deku about how he thinks everything's gonna go for him. What do you mean? Well, for you. I can see a few options, see a few ideas. I can't fully predict you, but I can still do quite a bit with my power. You want to try and kill me? Trust me, I don't think that's going to work. If you're saying the Foundation threw everything they got at the world and you survived, then I'm already aware I'm barking up the wrong tree there. Trust me. But it does make me raise questions about you. That's what it makes me raise questions about. You still work with them. I know. And you believe they're good? They saved me. They've helped me, and I've helped them. If I can, I'd like to help others. Me and the Foundation's views don't exactly line up too well, and I understand that. But after seeing this, they go motioning to the park, the inhabitants, the people here, talking about it. 3 months of this. He doesn't remember the last time he's had enough pain to kill him. He's had a blackout and revived. It's beautiful. If this is what life is like for normal people, taking it away, it feels like a death. It would alter what they know, what they understand. Let it be left in books and left in fiction. That's all he wants to think about that. You're closed-minded about it. I'm not closed-minded. Just think about this. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors, our human ancestors, they had to combat things in the wild we probably wouldn't survive today. Giant creatures, reptiles, monsters, saber-toothed tigers, stuff like that. They survived. They hid in caves. They learned how to use fire. They used tools. They hunted. They survived extinction events. They did. Her bring her hand up. Going to bring her hand out and go flip her wrist. And the world is going to change around them. Deku turning and staring on an icy cold blizzard. It beginning to rage around them as he does get a turn. Sammy going to bring her hand up and go to wave her hand again. It going further and further and further back. As Deku, he does to see how the dinosaurs, they do to come back. Him seeing many of them. Seeing the forest pop up around them and how everything does go. The eruption of a volcano. He sees how it does go to reverse. The ash rise from the ground. The creatures, they come back to life. The ancient bones beginning to weave together flesh, weave together many things. And they do just finally stop. Before Sammy does go to flick her fingers and life does resume around them. Her talking about it. On this spot, millions of years ago, this is what their ancestors faced. She wouldn't say it's that different from today. In fact, she'd say it's quite interesting. When are we? Accurate question. This is the day the first human began evolution. Though, not in the way you expect. What do you mean? Deku turning. As he does go look up, you see something shooting overhead. Her going to smile. As something just come crashing down into the planet, and he does get a turn. Bring his hand up to cover his eyes. And a bright flash does illuminate the area. Then, back at the park as Deku, here's a turn looking at her. Quite intrigued. Quite enraptured in this idea. She's not showing him the rest of it. And that grin on her face, it is one of self-satisfaction. She's happy that she's leaving this for Deku to ask. She wants his attention. And now that she has it, she's curious as to what he'll say. but this one she feels like she knows she can predict. That was odd. Is that it? It is. But why would you want to take this away? Her staring at him confused. Since he doesn't want to know the answer, he doesn't want to go back there. He doesn't want to see what happens to people. I mean, this is the day everything changed for humans. This is the day where they just, well, this is the day the screamers. The idea that she can't talk to him about this without explaining it to him. She was hoping that her bring her hand up, somewhat biting on her finger before she has to lower her hand. Her going to tell him. Does he want the answer? Yes, I do. Her bring her hands up. Before they do, go to snap, and she has to talk about it. Fine. Right now, we'll discuss this a bit further. Before they return and look around in the fancy restaurant, her expressing. Right now, though, they're gonna eat. And she does want to know a bit more. Deku looking around. Before someone is come walking over and they do bend down, going to say something as Deku does a turn looking at them. And he does stare at them for he to read their mind and find out where they are before he sees someone start expressing, saying in their language about what he does want on the menu. Before turning back to her, speaking that language was a stop. Him going to somewhat rattle his head and look back up, expressing about what he does want to know. What is she doing? We're gonna have lunch. Brunch? Whatever. It's still early enough for this to be considered brunch. Though, we're gonna have a bit of a conversation. Afterwards, we can go back to the park, and I can keep your little secret. Though, if you can call this future iteration of me, I'd like to meet her. Huh. Good luck. She gave me a gift a while back. I've seen that. That was your birthday. What? It was past midnight, right? Yeah, it was. Yes, I'm getting a read on it. She gave you a birthday present. That's quite odd. Is it? Yes, I would think so. But now we're going to eat. Her turning. As a plate does it sit down in front of her and Deku does a turn. Seeing some servers come out and go to bust the tables. For others to carry plates over to patrons in the restaurant. Someone quickly moving over and going to pour Deku something to drink. It is a turn, as a mimosa does sit there in a champagne glass. Him turning as she does someone bring up her own, holding it up and talking about how they'll continue this conversation, though it can't be brunch without a proper drink. And Izuku does a turn staring at that, before he says ask, if this is a date. Really? A date? With you? I'm just asking. It seems like that. A little bit of effort. That's all I'm saying. I am drawn to mystery. So, how we keep it that way? Whatever you think this is, it's that. And, well, I'll go ahead and keep your secret from the group. Though Tony, I know for a fact he's definitely going to be a little bit annoyed. About what? Deku knocking back a drink, as he does go to pour the entire thing directly down his throat. Him gonna set down the glass and turn, pouring a second one as she won't stir on, and nearly almost spit out her own. As right now, she does go to talk about it. Tony is a friend of hers. The two have interacted. In fact, he's the one that showed her about life outside of Prometheus Labs. They've known each other for a while. In fact, after she was told to scare the projects in case Miss Midoriya ever went missing, that's when things got very interesting. She scattered them, ripped that part out, and then went on her way. Her gonna won't sip her own glass before knocking the entire thing back and going to set it down, talking about it. Well then, isn't that nice? It seems interesting. But wait, she's missing? Yes, Miss Midoriya is gone. And that is the thing that I do find the most interesting. Miss Midoriya is no longer with Prometheus Labs. Other projects have continued without her, but most of the team has disbanded. They're still hidden in the private sector, but private is private. And to be honest, I think even I might have a little bit of trouble finding them. My powers aren't specialized in that sort of department. I'm not a tracker. Though if we do go to the place, then I know we can find one. But I'll let them know that you're legit. What do you mean? What place? Not what place, Izuku. It's the place. What's the place? You'll see. It's easier to understand when you get there. It's everywhere and nowhere all at once. It's that simple. Her and Deku continue to talk, and Izuku does keep this idea in mind. Inko Midoriya is no longer with Prometheus Labs. She went missing, and Sammy scattered the projects. And that it does still have his interest. It does still have a lot of his attention. That thought does go through his mind. However, he does still talk with her. The two do have a good time. And by the time they're done with their lunch or their brunch, there is where Sammy does snap her fingers. And Deku, he does reappear. Him with 4 different coffees in hand, a box of donuts, and a note that does sit on top of the box. Him looking down as he does go to open the door using telekinesis. Stepping in as everyone, they do just don't turn. Asking exactly where he's been? What do you mean? We've been trying to find you for the last few minutes. Where did you go, Izuku? I mean, you had us worried. Deku turning. In Zenith, she is still somewhat wiping the sleep from her eyes. Deku turning and seeing that the coffee pot, it does have about half of it missing. Before I turn looking at the timer that is on the oven. And the time it does say, it's only been a few minutes since he walked out the door. About 30? Not even an hour. Huh. Izuku. Sorry, Zenith. Listen, I went out to that one donut shop. I got there early and there wasn't that much of a line. Though, the traffic was killer. Okay, I could have just driven you. I know, but I thought you were still asleep. You were up late, weren't you? Coffee? Her staring at the coffee. Before she's gonna walk over and look and see what they do have. Her turning and gonna at least grab her own. Before Alex, he does a stand. taking a bear claw, the coffee, and gonna turn and take another donut. Before Deku's gonna set it down and gonna grab the two, walking over and sitting down with Zenith. The TV turning on as Suzuku, he does go to somewhat whisper to her about a few things that happened in the Druidic language. And this, Rose is a little surprised about. Her whispering back with Deku and going back and forth. The two somewhat laughing about it, as Deku even is talking about the reality bending date he went on. Now then, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.